Hey everybody, Shireen and JD from Moji Masala. Hope you are well.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy rainy Friday where we are. Thundery, rainy, cloudy, overcast Friday.
Lightning.
So perfect day to cook and also to like use up everything in your fridge, which is also what I did. I started this as part 2 of paneer, which is we made the paneer in part 1, and part 2 was we're gonna make palak paneer. In the process of wanting to make the palak paneer, I opened my fridge and realized I had a lot of food in there that I bought during the week that I never cooked because I was too busy. And so since I'd already gotten going making the paneer, or getting ready to make the paneer with you guys, I decided to whip up literally 20 minutes each all my leftover veggies. So I'm gonna actually show you how easy it is. JD, if you wanna show them here. Move this, right?
The truth is, I really made this.
So I had a head of cauliflower, so I used our cauliflower masala and just made that. Literally took me 20 minutes. I had some potatoes that I had boiled earlier, thinking I was gonna make potato salad. That never happened. So instead, I used our Moji Masala spice blend for potato.
Which blend did you
Potato
use?
Rustar.
Oh.
I made it a little differently though. They were already boiled, so I just heated up the spices with not even onion, just a little ginger, actually, some minced ginger with the spice packet, and kind of sauteed the already boiled potatoes in that. We'll see how it turns out. JD will be the best judge. And then, of course, the main event today is really making the palak paneer. So there are various ways you can make this dish. The palak that we have, our recipe is like a simple saute. It's very flavorful. It's chili-free. Has cumin and coriander and garam masala. So a lot of spices going on there that make it really delicious. But it's on the milder side. It's really meant as a nice side. It is really great with just rice, but you can even like make a main protein of your choice and then have it as like a nice flavorful sauteed spinach on the side. So today what we're going to do is we're going to use that recipe, but we're going to add a little bit of heat to it, a little bit more ginger, a little bit more fresh flavor to jazz it up a bit. But let me show you what I did. So we made the paneer last time, as you recall. And I took half of that and just pan fried it that day, and in a little sesame oil actually. And we ate it as a snack. I don't think JD actually even got to eat any of that. No, just that was just the paneer. So the other half that was left over, I sliced and pan fried. I did that ahead just to save time because it's pretty straightforward. But the one thing I do want to point out about the pan frying of the paneer is this. You can cut the paneer any way you want, meaning like any shape you want. My mother always used to do kind of like long, thick slices, almost like imagine like a mozzarella plate. But these cubed, I like the cubed because it's great if you're trying to serve more than, like a bunch of people. Then if it's cubed, you get, everyone can take 2 or 3 pieces. But however you slice it, whatever shape you slice it in, make sure you slice it thick. And the reason is you're gonna pan fry it to kind of give it that nice texture on the outside so that when you add it into your braise, your spinach braise, it doesn't really fall apart on you. But more importantly, the middle, because it's a little thicker, will stay a little spongy and it will absorb a lot of that flavor of the liquid that it's sort of cooking in. And what happens is if you get a piece, there's always a piece or two that gets too thin, the edge. So you can see this is kind of now really hard. It's still actually pretty good and I'm still gonna use it, but it's not nearly as thick. So it's really hard on both sides. And it just makes like when you bite into it, it won't be as soft and delicate and won't have absorbed as much flavor. So that's really the key. And when you pan fry, that's about what you want to do. Not too dark, not too hard, just enough to give it that like nice brown coat so it holds its texture. So that's kind of it. So really what we're gonna do, we're gonna saute some onions, add our Moji Masala, palak masala, spinach masala. This is a pound of spinach that we use. So this whole, I used one of these. I blanched it or literally just wilted it. So that was like a minute, boiled it for a minute in hot water, drained it in this colander here and let it sort of drain naturally in the sink while I made actually those 2 dishes. So now we're ready to cook. So we're gonna get over here and do that. Turn the heat on. So I'm gonna use a little bit, I like for the spinach to use olive oil. Olive oil burns easily. So I'm gonna cook it, you know, normally we use medium high. I'm gonna cook it a little bit more medium. I like a little bit of that olive oil flavor for this dish to come through versus using a neutral oil, which olive oil is not, and it's not a high heat oil. So this is sunflower oil, sorry. You can also mix them if you want to. Sometimes what I do is, the spices sometimes need to cook in a like stronger heat. And the onions may need, if you want it to go faster, I'll use the sunflower oil or a canola oil or any high heat neutral oil and cook that part, and then add a little olive oil when I add the spinach. But today I'm just gonna try just using the olive oil because I do like the flavor. Good amount of olive oil. And now this recipe calls for garlic cloves, which I'm out of garlic cloves. So in the spirit of just cleaning out my fridge, I have just the right amount of minced garlic left. And I'm gonna add a little ginger to it. You don't wanna go too crazy with the ginger. Ginger's pretty strong, and you know, you wanna maintain the balanced flavor. The masala mix here is quite balanced and not as maybe complex as some of the other masalas, so it doesn't need a lot. And if you put too much garlic or ginger, it might overtake the spice blend here. So do that. So I'm gonna start with the onions. Oops, wrong batch here. So this dish, it's about, you know, a little shy of a cup of unchopped onions that you use. And you don't even really have to use the onions if you don't want, but I do think when you're adding like paneer and adding other things into it, you know, you want to add fresh layers of flavor. Cilantro, if you had it, onion, fresh ginger and garlic, or even the minced ginger and garlic as opposed to the powders. So they add a lot of flavor without necessarily adding like a lot of heaviness or a lot of heat. So brown that. So you really just want to lightly brown these onions, you know, until they're like translucent and then they turn light brown. I have a gas stove here. It usually happens pretty quickly. Halfway through here, I'm going to probably add my ginger and garlic. Those can burn a little bit more quickly than the onion would, so I'm not going to add the garlic and ginger right away. And there, it already smells good. The olive oil and onion alone, so fragrant. The other thing, while we're just letting these onions brown, so the spinach, you want to try to use a baby spinach. You don't have to, and whatever you have is fine. But if you use a baby spinach leaves, they are smaller, and then the dish becomes a little smoother. Alternatively, you can use like a hand mixer or something an emulsion blender if you really want that smooth, creamy, almost gravy-like texture of the spinach. I actually don't like that. I like how to have a little leafiness to my spinach. You know, to me, I like chewing on it a little bit more. I think it's great, but I do like the baby spinach. I think the bites are a little bit more appropriate versus when you use the really big spinach and you don't chop it. Or you can use, you know, bigger leaves that you chop, but I'm very lazy. So I tend to go for the pre-washed baby spinach. Okay, I actually have a couple of cumin seeds left over in here from when I was making the potatoes, and they smell good. All right, I'm going to add the garlic. Actually, this is the ginger, sorry. And the garlic.
How much are you adding?
So, the dish calls for 3 cloves of garlic. I would say like a teaspoon of garlic, minced garlic if you're going to use minced, and then half a teaspoon of minced ginger. And you don't have to use both if you don't want. So it gets very, you know, the water in the minced garlic ginger gets very sparky. This is what's going on here. But it smells great. But you might want to step back when you do this for a minute. Oh, not yet. I need the spices now. Now we're going to add, where's the spice? So, maybe like 10 seconds. We're gonna add this in. Okay, this is the Moji Masala spice pack, cumin, coriander, garam masala, again, chili free. And it is already ground, but you can still toast it a bit. It's fresh ground, it's a little chunkier than like a fine powder. And, oh, the other thing I always forget to say is to always have some water by your side, because as you can see, it's a little dry. So we just add splashes of water to keep our pan moist, but not, you know, it'll get absorbed pretty quickly, which is what you want, because you still want to really cook these spices. Really important. Anytime you use Indian spices that are, most spices, even when they're powders, you always need to cook them before you really add your main vegetable or meat to the so this is just like creating the masala base, the spice base. If you don't open them up, let them cook a little bit on their own, they just end up having a raw flavor that just sticks to your food, as opposed to really blending in and just creating an overall, you know, flavor. So this is good. And you don't have to, it doesn't take long to cook them, you know. We're talking about maybe, in this case, 30 seconds, a minute, something like that. I am going to turn the heat up just a drop now. Try to get these. And for this dish, even though for the other dishes, you know, browning your onion really well is really critical. But this is a very fresh and easy dish. So it's up to you how much you want to brown your onion. You just do a little light, like very lightly cooking the onion. If you want it a little bit more caramelized, you can let it brown, you know, a little longer. Let's just get that. Okay, we're still just kind of cleaning up our pan, making sure nothing's on there sticking and then burning. Okay, this is good. So we added that little bit of water. Now we're gonna add the spinach, which has a lot of, thank you, has a lot of water in it still. A lot of times, you know, what my mom used to do is she'd prep, like she was cooking a few dishes, something like this, she'd blanch or wilt the day before, let it squeeze it out, you know, with this spoon, like literally like that, in the sink in the colander, and then refrigerate it and let it kind of naturally drain out. A lot more water would come out just to, and then cook the next day. You know, chop up her cauliflower, prepare the spinach, prepare the paneer like we did the other day. It's just one day of that, and then cooking the next day. And then when you cook the food, you know, it almost cooks and marinates a couple more days. You don't have to eat it right away. It even tastes better if you wait. So, no, we gotta really, that's not quite yet. So this is the important part. You don't, this spinach needs to get cooked. It's probably gonna cook longer, and all my oil's used up pretty quickly here. I didn't put enough, which is fine. Just add it here. Like I said, I'm going with the olive oil for the flavor. You really want to fry your spinach. You're going to end up cooking your spinach longer than you might if you were doing a very simple, you know, normal sauteed spinach. The reason is you want these spices to really get in there. And that's why we tend to, you know, really even cook our veggies what would seem like longer than normal, or longer than you need to, meaning the veggies can be fully cooked, but you can still keep cooking them, because that's going to make the difference between your dish being kind of like fine to being really well flavored. So you just want that extra level of deeper flavor, and that's what this just means, cooking on high heat a little bit longer than maybe instinctively you think you should. And we are going to add water to this dish, so that will help also, and sort of let it simmer, and then add the paneer at the same time and let it simmer. So that will also help the flavors really come through. Not yet. I think we're gonna need, this is just nice. So what I said about the heat, again, you don't have to add heat to this, but I think when you're adding the paneer and adding a little heat is kind of nice. But it doesn't have to be red chili, you know, just using fresh green chilies. Like in a dish where you're gonna add water, you can always then also add a fresh green chili into the water before you turn it to low and let it simmer with the chili. You could add it whole, you could chop it up so it's spicier. You could open up, de-seed it so you get just the chili flavor but not necessarily as much heat. A lot of ways to you can use various chilies. Thai green chilies are really nice and spicy. Jalapenos are more moderate, which is what I'm going to use today because I want to see if my daughter will also kind of enjoy this dish. Okay, I think this is good. I think we need about a half cup of water. That's not enough. Okay, that's good. Yeah. And it's not, you know, you can always, let's see if that's enough. I think we might need, I think we might need a little more because we want to add the paneer. So we want it to, yeah, it just, that's good. So you just want it to have a nice, enough liquid to really simmer in. I'm going to turn the heat down. So this paneer is fried. Oops. So I would have used I used a half gallon of milk and then I ate half of it already. So this is literally the equivalent of a quarter of that. It's half of the half, or half of the portion that I made. Would have been nice to probably have the whole thing to have it really nice and cheesy, but that's okay. So like I said, the other thing you could have done is before you added the paneer, like use an immersion blender and make it super, almost soup-like, almost like a spinach soup first, and then added the paneer. Okay, so I did not add the salt yet, which I forgot, which is not a big deal. I'm gonna add it now. It's got, the spinach is easy to oversalt, be careful. It needs about, I always just do a half a teaspoon. Probably needs closer to 3/4, but you know, it depends how much liquid you reduce off. So just start with half and then finish it at the end with a little more salt if you want. So we're gonna finish this with garam masala actually. All right, so I'm gonna let this needs to simmer about probably like 5 to 7 minutes. Where is the lid? 1 second. Let's see, is it in here? Sorry. Oh, and actually before you do that, before you turn the heat down, you always want to bring a dish to a boil, and that last boil just allows anything that you like. We just added the salt. You add salt, always bring your dish to a boil first. Helps to really make sure that the salt gets in there. So wait, this is a good boil. I'm gonna turn it to low, really medium low. There. And while that's simmering, I'm going to, JD, it's okay. Our daughter's hungry, sorry. While that is simmering, I'm gonna plate this dish because I really just want to show you how amazing Indian vegetarian is. It is so easy to be vegetarian when you're with Indian food. So I just made this cauliflower, 20 minutes flat, and put that there. And my experimental potato. As I look at it, I wonder if I might have maybe a little too much cumin seed, but all good. All right, that's it. We'll come back and show you the final dish and plate it, and you can watch us eat it. Bye.